there, good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studios at Adisawe Kanda. We're also streaming on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7. Coming up this afternoon, 3 dead in the Aboso explosion as police and the Minerals Commission launch investigations into the deadly blast. We go live to the Western region for the latest report.
The explosion resulted to 3 dead, 3 injuries. The explosion also caused an extensive damage to properties. Several houses within the community had their window panes shattered, while 6 vehicles parked at a nearby washing bay also had 8 windscreens and window glasses damaged.
Also in the bulletin, WAEC rejects claims of bias against private school BECE candidates, insisting all scripts were marked using the same standard. We'll hear from WAEC, NABS, the Education Ministry, and Parliament.
About WAEC using a different marking scheme for private schools. I just love to say that there is no truth in any such allegation.
Well, we've got also curfew imposed in parts of Sadnerugu after deadly clashes over a land. Stay with us here because we bring you all those details very shortly. Now the details. The West African Examinations Council, WAEC, has dismissed claims by the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, NAPS, that different marking schemes were being used for BECE candidates of private schools nationwide compared to their counterparts in public schools. NAPS said it had flagged a mismatch between how well students performed during all examinations and the results were eventually awarded, especially in core subjects. First, let's take a listen to the executive director of the Association, Obinfo Nana Kwesi Gentwa, who has questioned the results.
It is high time we call WAEC for accountability. And so if you are working within the public space and it is time for accountability, I think you have to be available for that. And I believe WAEC will be available for that to come and meet some of our evidences that we have put together, which are very, very strong enough in terms of its admissibility. As for the ministry, they are yet to receive. Parliamentary Select Committee on Education has taken a key interest in this matter, and they have called us to a meeting within this week, possibly by Thursday, and which I believe that WAEC will also be there. And so if you talk about specificity of time, what I can say is that within this week, we have 2 major activities to do.
That was the voice of Obinfo Nana Kwesi Gentwa. He's executive director for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools. Now, responding to the claims, the head of public affairs at WAEC, John Kapi, vehemently opposed the accession, insisting that claims of unfair treatment against private schools are untrue. He spoke on TV3's Ghana Tonight.
I've come across all manner of stories that have been going around on social media about WAEC using a different marking scheme for private schools. I just love to say that there is no truth in any such allegation because the candidates are, considered one cohort from private to public schools. And also when the examiners meet for the coordination meetings, it is all about one marking scheme for everybody. Now, one may ask, how am I able to tell whether these are scripts from private schools or they are from public schools? What we've tried to do, in order that nobody even gets to know who is writing from where, is that we don't even label the envelopes in the first place, so that at the end of the day, nobody gets to know what is coming from where. And that explains the reason, or that explains why we think that there's no truth.
That's John Kapi. He's the head for public affairs at WAEC. We can now hear from Hashmin Mohammed, who is the press secretary to the Minister of Education, speaking to my colleague, Daniel Opoku.
Can parents go for remarking those who are disappointed?
Well, they are encouraged to do so. I think WAEC have made provisions for that, and they need to utilize it if they feel that is not the true reflection of their children's performance. I think they can do so. WAEC have made provisions for that. That's why the results that they have released is called provisional. Provisional in the sense that there may be some concerns, and they normally allow a 3-month window period for those concerns to address them.
That means that they can even go for remark and possibly proceed to court if you're not happy.
Well, if that is the case, they can do so. We are in a democracy, and anything that enables our democracy to function, giving voices to people, people are encouraged, provided it is within the remit of the law.
You just heard the voice of Hashmin Mohammed, who is a press secretary to the Minister of Education. We now go to the phone lines now, and we're being joined by the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, Peter Nochwe Kotwe, and he's going to be speaking to us. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us on the Midday News.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Talk to us. What are your initial reactions to the claims by this association regarding this year's BECE results? You know, they've been alleging that private school candidates may have been treated unfairly. What do you have to say about this?
Yeah, thank you very much. In actual fact, I wouldn't like to state any position now, because we are now in the middle of the two groups. That is the National Association of Private Schools and then the West African Examinations Council. This is a serious allegation, and we need to look at it carefully. We want to give the platform to the two groups to explain themselves. As an examiner for a number of years, I was surprised when I heard this, but we need to listen to them. Probably WAEC may have to explain one or two things to us, and then we look at the allegations also made. So we are thinking of meeting the two parties with other agencies next week. If it's necessary or important, we can even do it public, so that the public will know the response from WAEC, because we need to express or make sure that the confidence that we have in WAEC is not eroded, so that candidates can also have the confidence that whether I go to a public school or a private school, I must be treated fairly. So we would like to meet them and listen to both sides and see the way forward.
With that said, earlier WAEC spoke, and they have strongly denied using any form of different marking scheme for be it private schools or public school candidates. Does Parliament accept WAEC's explanation, or do you believe there should be an independent review, like you've mentioned?
Well, there are opportunities for anyone who is dissatisfied with a result given to a candidate. You can call for a remarking or go to court and all those things, but we don't want to encourage that. Let's have a dialogue. The examining body should explain certain things to us in the presence of the National Association of Private Schools, so that we'll all be on the same page. Maybe at the meeting, we'll be able to know the modalities for grading students and all those things. So that is what we want to do. We don't want to jump the gun and say what the National Association of Private Schools is saying is right or is wrong, or what WAEC is also saying is the truth. So we want to meet them, and then based on that, I think there will be an understanding.
Just before I let you go, how are we to address this long-standing seemingly mistrust between the private schools and WAEC on the marking scheme, so we don't have in the future other institutions?
For me, it should be public education. When they are made to understand very well what go into the grading of students, I think everybody will understand.
Well, we have to end here. Thank you, sir, so much for joining us on the Midday News here. You just heard that we were talking to the chairman of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Education, Mr. Peter Kotwe there. Let's move to the camp of the NPP now, because the New Patriotic Party has questioned government's intervention to absorb 2 cedis from every litre of diesel for 1 month, saying it is an unfair compensation for Ghanaians who have been paying 1 cedi levy on fuel products for over a year. Co-chair on the NPP's Policy Committee of Energy, George Kwame Abuaji, says the subsidy is no relief to consumers and does not take away burdens from households. At a media briefing a while ago, he sought answers on what specific expenditures are being cut to fund this directive.
Even if the full 2 cedis reduction is passed through to the pump, diesel will still stand about 11 cedis for 11.4% above its January 2025 level. So let us be accurate about what this intervention is. It cushions part of the increase that has already happened. It does not reverse it, and it does not return households and businesses to where they stood 18 months ago. A consumer who has paid 1 cedi extra on every litre of petrol and diesel for more than a year now receives at best 2 cedi back on diesel for a single month and nothing at all on petrol. The 2 cedi reduction is not generosity. It is a partial temporary return to money already taken from consumers.
Well, he also touched on the increase in the rates on fuel oil for industry, arguing that the regime fund compensates only companies while Ghanaians bear quiet costs. This follows an amendment to the Energy Sector Levies Act last week, which increased the rates of the energy sector shortfall and debt repayment on fuel oil, a move the finance minister says will help block leakages.
The government says this closes a misclassification loophole that cost an estimated 25 million United States dollars between January and June this year, and it promises refunds to eligible industrial users within 14 days. The anti-evasion objective is legitimate, but the framework is not yet in place. Government has not published who will administer the refunds, who qualifies, how refunds will be financed, or what happens to rejected claims.
That was the voice of George Kwame Abuaji. He's NPP's Policy Committee on Energy. Let's head over to the NPP headquarters, because we know the party has been addressing the media on plans for its planned demonstration, which is slated for tomorrow. And Christian Yali is our man. He's on the grounds now, and he joins me on the line. Christian, thank you so much for joining us. What are we to expect tomorrow? What is the NPP saying?
The NPP says that it is expecting a massive demonstration tomorrow against what it believes is unfair justice system, one that is favoring a particular political class and persecuting another class. In fact, when you look into what the national organizer, Henry Nanabuachi, has been saying, the demonstration tomorrow is expected to be a peaceful demonstration. Now, the theme for it, as we know already, is democracy under attack. Now, what they've observed largely is that there has been this emerging pattern of politically motivated prosecution, selective application of justice, disregard for due process, and all of these are deemed as actions that threaten independence of critical institutions like the judiciary. So tomorrow, that is expected exactly at 5 a.m. at the Supreme Court. It will begin, and then they are expected to also present 3 petitions, one to the Supreme Court, one to the presidency, and another to Parliament. And so the demonstration will begin from the Supreme Court at 5 a.m. when they will begin to gather the masses or the numbers, and then they will march on the approved route that they've agreed on with the service. Now, once all of this is done, they say that there is even a similar demonstration expected in the Ashanti region, but the details will be communicated later.
Track and publish month by month the collections of the energy sector, movement of pump prices against the exchange rate, so that Ghanaians can see for themselves how much we will engage them transport unions, industry, and consumer groups directly and place. We will put forward the alternative, a transparent, rules-based shock response framework with published price distribution, agriculture and fishing, and automatic sunset triggers in place of midnight.
Let's take you to the Western region now, because new details are emerging on the Aboso explosion that claimed 3 lives. The Western Central Regional Police Command, backed by the Minerals Commission, says an investigation is underway. Irama Smith joins us from the Western region with more. Irama, what more can you tell us about Tuesday's explosion in Aboso? What exactly happened?
Right. So let me give you a background to this whole incident. There's a tailing site with workers extracting gold from this site. When we talk about tailing, we are talking about the debris or what is left over from the major mining companies. These people will go for this and then try to extract what they can from it. So this tailing site has been seeing this big python. Workers there have been seeing this big python, and they were quite afraid. On this particular day, they saw the python enter their storage space and alerted the owner that right now the python is at a place that they could deal with. The owner came in with a pump action shotgun, and according to the police, the owner fired this gun. However, the residents, those there are also saying there was a worker at a nearby filling station who took the gun and fired it. And in the storage space, they had some explosive materials. And that is what got ignited and then set the whole place on fire. And we understand that 3 people have been confirmed dead. However, there's one other person that they are unable to account for. So they suspect he's dead but cannot be found, or wherever the person is. So when you go into the community, they say that 4 people are dead, but 3 have been found, and then 3 are also on admission now. So basically, that is what happened. And we also understand that some vehicles at a nearby washing bay also were affected by this. The glasses got destroyed, and some buildings in the vicinity, they also had their window panes also destroyed. So basically, that's what's happening.
Let's take a listen to the Western Regional PRO for the police.
At 2 p.m. on the 4th of August 2026, the Western Central Regional Police Command responded to an explosion at a tailings site in Aboso near Takwa. The explosion resulted to 3 deaths, 3 injuries. The explosion also caused an extensive damage to properties. Several houses within the community had their window panes shattered, while 6 vehicles parked at a nearby washing bay also had 8 windscreens and window glasses damaged. I wish to make a categorical statement in my capacity as the Western Central Regional Police PRO that only 3 individuals have been confirmed dead, 3 others stable and responding to treatment.
That was the voice of the PRO for the Western Central Police Command, ASP Beatrice Turksing. Irama, just before I let you go, what's the situation on the ground right now in 30 seconds?
Right, so the place has been cordoned off by the police. For now, there's no work ongoing there. But beyond that, the police is working with the Minerals Commission. They are trying to investigate whatever it is. One interesting thing is that, these people are supposed to be working with tailings. So people are wondering what they were doing with the explosive materials in their vicinity. But in a typical mining community where illegal mining is very high, work is ongoing, not at the place where it was affected, but beyond that, people are going about their normal work, daily routines and all that. And those who the deceased have been identified by their families, those who are Muslims, they are making the efforts to retrieve the bodies for burial. The sick are also, the injured are also receiving treatment. So that's basically it.
Well, Irama, we have to end here. Thank you so much for joining us on the Midday News. That was Irama Smith. She's a Western Regional correspondent bringing us up to speed with that explosion that happened in Aboso in the Western region. Now, 7 out of 10 Ghanaians seeking public services between July and December 2025 face demands for informal payments, according to a new governance data from the Ghana Statistical Service. Presented at a governance series event on August 4, 2026, the survey's third wave revealed a sharp uptake in bribery pressures. GSS data shows corruption remains concentrated within high-contact public bodies. Law enforcement agencies dominate the list, with traffic police recording the highest frequency of unofficial payments. Government statistician Dr. Al-Hassan Idrisu noted that actual bribe incidents rose from 14.3% in early 2025 to 18.0% in the second half, while solicitations by public officers surged to 69.4%.
We saw that requests for bribe actually increased from 51% in wave 2, that is January to June 2025, to 69% in wave 3, which is July to December 2025. Secondly, the share of those who paid bribes increased from 14.3% in wave 2 to 18% in wave 3. Thirdly, the share of those who paid 5 times or more drastically reduced, which is positive news, from 24% in wave 2 to a little under 4% in wave 3. And then fourth, more Ghanaians are actually finding the courage.
Now, GSS data shows corruption remains concentrated within high-contact public bodies. Law enforcement agencies dominate the list, with traffic police recording the highest frequency of unofficial payments.
Somebody at that level, there should be, and it should be something that becomes public policy. You need to demonstrate that every quarter, or at least worst case every 6 months, as part of the agenda of whether it is the board of the commission, whether it is the minister, that recent data that has been collected is factored into decision making.
Let's take you now to Tamale, where we'll be talking about 2 unfortunate incidents involving a land boundary dispute in the Sagnerugu municipality and the bodies of 2 female Beninois found at a hotel in the Bewa residential area in Tamale. Now, calm has been restored to the Damakunyili, Nyeshi and adjoining communities following disturbances on Tuesday, August 8th, that reportedly left 1 person dead and 6 others injured. The Sagnerugu Municipal Security Committee earlier imposed a 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. curfew on the feuding communities as a measure to restore peace in the area. Municipal Chief Executive of Sagnerugu, Abdullahi Imoro Gong, says MUSEC will be engaging the 2 featuring factions towards advancing a peaceful solution to the land boundary disputes. My colleague Christopher Mwako engaged with the MCE earlier today, and he's joining us on for more on this unfortunate development. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us here on 3FM. What more do we know about the 6 injured persons?
Yes, so Christabel, I can confirm to you that 6 injured persons are responding well to treatment. Earlier today, I visited the hospital where they were on admission, and I must say that they are currently being monitored by their doctors, and some of them actually have been asked to go home. Now, the dead body, which was deposited at the Tamale Teaching Hospital morgue, processes are underway for the body to be released to the bereaved families for burial to take place today in line with Islamic customs. Now, the MC has indicated strongly that releasing the body to the family for burial is also a measure to restore calm in the area as a result of the tensions that arose yesterday. Let's take a listen to the MC for the Sagnerugu municipality.
It's unfortunate about the death. I condemn it. And I'm also, on behalf of the Salarigo Municipal Assembly, also sending our heartfelt condolences to the bereaved family. And then the injured, we went there around 2 o'clock as MUSEC to visit them. After 2 today, this morning, we were there also for the dressing up and other things. And then police are underway doing the postmortem for the death, so that by the end of the day, the burial will be done in a Muslim way, so that tensions will come down. Then we see what measure we can take. So through our engagement with the both parties, now all the parties have agreed to collaborate with the security agencies.
That was the voice for the Municipal Chief Executive of Sagnerugu, Abdullahi Morogong, speaking to my colleague Christopher Mwako, who engaged very shortly before that sound. They're ending the midday news on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, don't forget to check out our website, 3news.com. My name is Christabel Success Treve. Business is up next.
Hello there, good afternoon and welcome to Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. Coming up, Ghana Private Road Transport Union GPRTU puts 30% fare hike on hold after government cuts diesel prices by 30%.
We have well received it, and we are commending the president for doing that. Although where the fuel price went to and this intervention came in has just, come back. The fuel price has just come back to, where it was when.
And oil prices plunged 7% to 3-week low as Trump pauses attack on Iran. Plus, International Monetary Fund IMF warns youth unemployment in Ghana remains stubbornly high at 30%. I am Michael Lobodo. Details of these and many other stories lined up for you. Do stay tuned. Straight into our top story, and the Ghana Private Road Transport Union GPRTU has put its planned transport fare increase on hold following the government's decision to reduce diesel prices by 2 cedis per litre. The union had been weighing a 30% hike due to rising operational costs, with diesel earlier trading between 17 to 19 Ghana cedis per litre. GPRTU officials say the government's intervention offered temporary relief and prevented prices from hitting 20 cedis per litre. Following talks with the Transport Ministry, the union agreed to delay any fare adjustments and keep the current rates for now. Leaders say they will closely monitor fuel prices and use the second pricing window this month to decide on the next steps. Let's listen to PRO of GPRTU, Samuel Amwa.
We have well received it, and we are commending the president for doing that. Although where the fuel price went to and this intervention came in has just, come back. The fuel price has just come back to, where it was when we were proposing this increment. But all the same, we have spoken to our members, explain things for them to understand so that we can at least hold on with this proposed increment for now. So we see what will happen next. We normally don't use only one component to determine our transport fare, increment reductions. We consider spare parts, lubricant, and taxes, as well as the petroleum products. But what triggered everything has to do with the petroleum product. That is why for that of the spare parts, we have been talking about it for some time now. They made us understood that it will be difficult for them to reduce.
So that was Deputy PRO of the GPRTU, Samuel Amwa, speaking. Now, the International Monetary Fund, IMF, has stated that youth unemployment in Ghana has remained stubbornly high at around 30% among people aged 15 to 24. In its country report on Ghana, the fund said social conditions remain challenging despite existing safeguards.
The World Bank estimates that Ghana's poverty rate declined modestly to 37.1% in 2025 from 38.9% in 2022. This was driven by lower inflation and stronger growth in the agriculture and services sectors. The International Monetary Fund says unemployment, particularly among the youth, remains a major challenge. It indicates government's minimum-term national policy development framework for 2026 to 2029 prioritizes growth in labor-intense sectors to create more jobs. The IMF also notes that Ghana continues to face significant social protection gaps. The fund adds that while education outcomes have improved, secondary school enrollment remains below Sustainable Development Goal targets. It concludes that stronger social safety nets and more targeted social policies are essential to protect vulnerable households amid fiscal constraints and global economic uncertainty.
And that was a 3 Business News Desk report. Now, analysts warn continuous increases in fuel prices at the local pumps could erode Ghana's recent inflation gains. Inflation currently stands at a low 5.3%, but sustained hikes in petroleum prices risk pushing it towards the upper limit of the Bank of Ghana's target band of 8% plus or minus 2%.
The conflict in the Middle East has driven some of the economic challenges facing Ghana, with fuel prices at the center of the strain. Senior lecturer in financial economics at UPSA, Dr. Eric Boache-Yadom, has noted if the trend continues, inflation could spike.
In last inflation that was reported, it was driven by locally manufactured goods. Possibly, if the trend continues, the driver of inflation will be more of the imported goods. And generally we import most of the goods that we use in our part of the country.
Energy analyst Kojo Poku observed that transportation is the foundation of a lot of things that happen in Ghana. He stressed that transportation remains the backbone of every economy, and Ghana is no exception.
Now, when the prices go up and it's not checked, then you will now have the transport unions also increase their fares, which has a dominoes effect in price escalation across the country.
Some Guineans have indicated the possible effects on fuel prices increases on their lives.
2 cedis is too small. It's too small for us because drivers are suffering.
Transportation fare will increase and food commodities will also increase as well.
How much I go fee, do sales, pay fuel, pay my boss, pay myself. So at the end of the day, be something small per they get.
Poku noted the need for government to take up some taxes.
Ghanaians are saying that, look, the prices are high. We can see the 1 cedi. Can you please remove it? But the Minister of Finance has decided not to take anything off the taxes that goes to the Ministry of Finance. Instead, they are asking MPA to reduce margins and levies. It's a welcoming news, but we wish we can get more. But unfortunately, what we have is the 2 cedis.
You heard that Kocho Pokuhi is an energy analyst ending that report. Now, oil prices dropped sharply today to a 3-week low after U.S. President Donald Trump called off a planned attack on Iran, raising hopes of a quick deal that could boost oil supplies for the Gulf. There is more in this report.
Brent's crude fell by 7% to settle at $80 a barrel, its lowest close since July 13. U.S. West Texas Intermediate also declined by 5.1% to $76. Part of the drop was also linked to the switch to the cheaper October Brent contract after the September contract expired. The sell-off came amid conflicting signals from Washington and Tehran. Trump said talks with Iran were ongoing and warned of consequences if no agreement was reached. Iran's foreign ministry denied any negotiations were taking place and said no meeting was scheduled. Analysts described the market's reaction as an overreaction to Trump's comment, noting a recurrent pattern of threat followed by last-minute cancellation that has weighed on oil prices for months. Trump also renewed calls for U.S. oil companies to cut gasoline prices for consumers. Fuel prices followed crude lower, with U.S. gasoline and diesel both down by 5% on the day. In the shipping sector, 6 Saudi supertankers rerouted away from the Gulf of Aden after threats from Yemen's Houthi movement, while traffic through the Strait of Hormuz slowed following reports of attacks. Despite OPEC Plus approving another production increase of about 188,000 barrels per day from September, supply disruptions from conflict involving Iran, Russia, and Kazakhstan have sublimated additional oil reaching the market.
And on that note, that's how we end today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more stories, kindly check out our website. It's 3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for tuning in. As always, please stay safe. Up next is Urban Blend with the Fugu wearing Black Rasta. Stay tuned.